If you drive for DoorDash, Uber Eats, or Grubhub, pay close attention to this video. What I'm going to talk about could stop you from losing a lot of money. What's going on, everybody? My name is Zach. I hope you are doing well. Before we get into the video, if you are new here, please do press that red subscribe button so you never miss news, tips, tricks, and ride-alongs with a healthy dose of humor. If you are kind enough to subscribe, let me know in the comments section below. Tell me your name and the market you drive in, and I'll be sure to thank you at the end of my next ride-along video. Before we get into the video, I want to thank you all so much for helping my channel reach 2,000 subscribers. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I am so grateful to have you here with me. Summer is my favorite time of year. I get to drink good beer, I get to blow shit up on the 4th, 5th, and 6th of July, don't judge me, as well as sit in a hot car for hours on end without seeing a single order. Summer is the time of year where friends and family get together, have barbecues, go on road trips, find new love, and not order DoorDash. This video is going to address the summer slowdown and ways that you can keep your earnings up when order volume is down. I want to start with order frequency. Are there less orders? Absolutely. Can we combat that? Not really. However, we can make ourselves available when more customers are ordering. In my experience, during the summer slowdown, I see the highest order volume during the breakfast hours and between 7 to 10 p.m. You may want to experiment with dinner time, as every market does differ slightly. In summer, here in the Pacific Northwest, it's daylight until almost 10 p.m. People take full advantage of that. As you get further south in the country, that won't necessarily be the case, so make sure you experiment with your dinner hour times. Consider what's going on in your market at what times during the summer and plan around that. I know you can't tell by looking at me, but I live in one of the most physically active areas in the entire country. During the summer, people in my market are out hiking, climbing, biking, and kayaking. When the sun starts to go down, that is when they head home and start to order food. That's why I start to see an increase in order volume at about 7:30 rather than the 4:30 I would have seen in the winter months. When you're driving for lunch, I want you to consider a few things. People still have W-2 jobs that they're working, so the Monday to Friday lunch runs might be as good as the Saturday and Sunday lunch runs were in the winter. Again, this is something that you need to experiment with, as every market will differ slightly. Something else to consider. What kind of orders are people placing? This brings me perfectly into my next suggestion. Consider getting activated on Shipt, Instacart, and Walmart Spark. Groceries are like toilet paper. You're always going to need it, and eventually they're going to end up in the same place. The time of year has absolutely no effect on people's need for groceries. In fact, during summer, people may be less inclined to shop for their own groceries. They have mountains to hike, beer to drink, and shit to blow up. That's where we come in. Admittedly, I don't like shopping for groceries. Not at all. But I do like being able to pay my expensive ass rent on time. There is no harm running DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub along with Instacart, Shipt, and Spark. It doesn't have to be all one or the other. With insane gas prices, it's becoming increasingly important to have access to a wide pool of orders. More orders, more options. Cherry pick the hell out of them. There's also Amazon Flex. It didn't really fit into my toilet paper narrative, so I'm adding it in here as an afterthought. Amazon Flex is a fantastic opportunity in not my market. Okay, I'm joking about the not my market part. I've chosen not to do Amazon Flex because my market is more than half apartments, and I wouldn't be able to approach it with the same speed that others would in different markets. If your market is mainly houses, Amazon Flex might be a fantastic opportunity for you to keep earning money during the summer months. My next point is along the same lines. Make sure you're activated on as many apps as you can be. I'm not a fan of Grubhub, Instacart, or Wendy's, but they can all make me money. I want to give you two scenarios. Let's introduce Elton and John. Elton is in a large market and only drives for DoorDash. John is in a much smaller market, but he's activated on 6 different apps. Who do you think is going to have more earning opportunities? Saturday night's all right for both of them, but where will that yellow brick road take them on Tuesday? I'd argue that Flame in Elton's large market will go out faster than a candle in the wind. Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. But in all seriousness, get activated on all of the apps that you possibly can. Do it before things slow down. Use them once or twice. Get the feel for them. That way, when it's slower than an elderly driver, you'll be comfortable. Not to mention, being activated on more than one app helps in the event that you are unfairly deactivated. You've heard the saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Gig work should be no different. Don't put your livelihood at risk because you're comfortable on one app. My next suggestion is something that only some of you will be able to try. If you're close to larger markets, consider driving in them instead of your home market. My friend, John McCallion, drives in a different market than his home market because he gets higher paying orders. If you're up for an interesting experiment, you could also try delivering in lower income markets if they're not dangerous. In my experience, people in lower income areas tend to tip better than people in $1 million homes. Now I want to switch gears slightly. Positioning matters. When there's a ton of orders, it's not as big of a deal if you're in close proximity to a bunch of other drivers. However, if it's slower than me getting out of bed in the morning, being close to other drivers is detrimental. I prefer to wait for my orders at a place called Barclay Village. It's a good place, central to a bunch of restaurants. However, I do have a few other places that I can wait. One of these places is the mall. However, this is the single worst place I could be waiting during the summer slowdown. I know that there's going to be exactly 114 drivers waiting to accept the same no-tip Chipotle order. The third place I can wait is the booming tech metropolis of Ferndale. Ferndale is the second largest city in my market. It has about 1/6 of the population of my hometown of Bellingham. Ferndale also has a fraction of the restaurants. This can be both a good or a bad thing, depending on the goal. If your goal is to pick up from fancy restaurants that will likely have larger tips, Ferndale's probably the wrong place to be. However, if you're trying to compete with fewer drivers, Ferndale might be the place to be. Sure, there's fewer offers in Ferndale, but as a result, there's also fewer drivers. When there is an offer, you stand a much better chance of seeing that offer before another driver does. Take a look at the various customer apps. See if there's a cluster of restaurants in an area that will have fewer drivers waiting. The final idea I have for you ultimately boils down to your comfort level. Alcohol orders. These are consistently some of the highest paying offers on DoorDash. Summer brings parties, and unless that party fucking sucks, there's probably going to be booze. I suggest you decide ahead of time if you're comfortable delivering alcohol. That way, when a good offer comes up, you don't have a dilemma on your hands. Admittedly, I don't do alcohol deliveries, no matter how much it pays me. It's just not something I'm comfortable with. I feel like there's too much liability, but you may view it differently. Having said that, these offers can make you a decent chunk of money in a relatively short period of time. Well, that about wraps up the video. If you have a trick that you use to combat the summer slowdown, leave it in the comment section below. During summer, our options are to either get a W-2 or to work with what we've got. If you got something out of this video, please do drop it a like. If you haven't done so yet, please do consider subscribing to my channel so you never miss news, tips, tricks, and ride-alongs with a healthy dose of humor. If you are kind enough to subscribe, let me know in the comment section below. Tell me your name and the market you drive in, and I'll be sure to thank you at the end of my next ride-along video. My name is Zach. Take care.